Everyone, it's Kira with Polymer Clay TV, and today I'm going to show you how to take a basic cutout made with a cookie cutter and turn it into your very own textured, designed jewelry pieces with raised cabochons in the middle. It's so fun and easy to do this technique, and it yields spectacular results. So get ready to create along with me. Let's go get started. We've got 3 new cutters at Create Along this week, and we're calling them Byzantine because they are based on a Byzantine cross, which is basically like the cross shape with equal-sided arms. And then we have this funky one, which we just thought was a cool shape. So what I'm going to show you is how to do the cabochons and then do some decorating around the edges. And to do that, I'm going to use my metal stamping tools, and I might try some other things. Like here I have a little pile of texturing tools that I made from old buttons. So basically they're just this is Sculpey, what is this called? It's the bendable mold, the mold making kind. I'll have to get the name onto the video, but I mixed it half and half with Sculpey original white. So they're sort of hard, but a little bit flexible. So these just came off old buttons, so I'll try those. And if you have texture sheets or other things like that, you could use them as well. And you're just going to need to pick a color. So I've got some of this is burnt sienna mixed with black to make a sort of dark brown. And I'm not going to need a lot. I'm going to use, let's see, I know I'm going to use these two. I'll do all 3. So this isn't enough for all 3, but it's definitely enough for 2 of them. So I'll use that piece for this one. That's a little bigger piece for that one, and maybe I'll do a brown one for this guy and make it sort of oblong, since the shape of this one is not a square. So what we're gonna do is just roll these up into circles, and we're gonna do 2 bakings on this project. So we've got this one, and we'll just do sort of a circular topped dome shape. And what you can do is just check and make sure that it's going to fit in the center of whatever size cutter or template you want to use. Make sure that you get all your fingerprints out of it. And of course you can make this as high or low domed as you want. And for this one, I'm going to use this shape and just press it in here, like so. And then I've got this bigger piece, and then the smaller piece. So for this larger one, I think I'm going to take this sort of spiral button shape and press it down over it. So, all right, I was worried. I thought it wasn't going to come out, but it popped right out. So now I've got this shape. And then for this one, I'm going to use a flower in the middle. And I've got a leaf somewhere. Yeah, I've got this leaf. So now, just because the shapes are sort of tribal looking doesn't mean that your piece has to come out looking tribal. You can make it however you want. So we've got some different ways of impressing a texture, and now I am going to bake these. You can decorate them first. I'm thinking about using some inks, some powders, however you want to do it. Let's give that a try. So when I say ink, of course, this is what I mean. These are pigment inks, and my favorite kind are Brilliants. This is Starlight Black, one of my favorite colors. These are my 2, actually, right here. Starlight Black and Lightning Black. This is a sort of antique silver color, and this is a sort of antique gold color, because they're both black based, but this one has silver in it, and then the other one has gold. So they're really interesting, sort of multi-dynamic colors, and my favorites right there. And then they've got all kinds of other, the pearlescents really look fabulous on Polymer. I'm going to go with lighter colors because of the, you know, the color of clay that I'm using. So this is pearlescent beige and olive. I've got all the colors here. The other ones that work well are the Versamagic chalk inks. So that's what that looks like. And these are a more chalky, matte kind of a look. So here we'll just do, you can pick these up if you want to and lay them back down. I'm going to do this lightning black. This is probably my all-time favorite color. And just go around, and I'm going to do this before baking because these inks are heat set. And since this is a cabochon, I'm going to impress into a bigger shape. I do want to get my ink all the way around it on the edges and everything too. So let's do a little bit of the Starlight Silver on this one. Make it look like metal. See how pretty that color is? All right, and then the other, we'll mess around with the green and the beige. Now, one of the things that I've found with these inks is that if you kind of really play with them, you can get your polymer piece to look like a piece of glass, like Roman glass or that sort of dirty finish glass. I don't know what it's called, but there's a type of glass work that this tends to resemble. If you sort of spread your colors around a little bit, you don't have to use the actual ink applicator. You can use your finger, whatever you want to do. This is sunflower yellow, which is actually yellow. It is not pearlescent or anything. So I'll just dot a little bit on there. And then I'm going to bake these for the recommended time and temperature for the clay that you're using. So I'm using Primo, and it's going to be, some of them are approaching thicker than 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to do half an hour for 275. All right, so here's what you do when you've got a lot of projects going on at the same time. You grab your scraps, you mix them together thoroughly, and then you can make backings for all these different things that you want to make. So this had a little bit of silver leaf on it, but when I mix this all up real good, you're hardly going to notice that. It'll be a nice sort of dark metallic base color because we've got some black, some burnt sienna, and some graphite pearl in there. I'll be back once this is ready. See that? What once was just various scraps from different projects has now become this beautiful, deep metallic gray color. I love it. Okay, so we're going to cut out these shapes next, and to do that, we need our plastic wrap. Now this is my go-to trick for any 3D printed cutters, not just the ones that we make at Create Along, but they all have the same characteristic ridges on them from being 3D printed. So if you take a little bit of plastic wrap and just gently lay it over your clay first, you can press this in, and I'm going to do it on the tile so that I can decorate without messing it up. And just press all around and give it a little sort of twist, and then peel back your plastic wrap. Now you've got this shape that's been cut out, and it's not going to get stuck inside your cutter. Of course, you do want to make sure you press good. And then another thing that happens sometimes is you get like the edges, so you just clean them up. Because 3D printed cutters are not, the 3D printing technology, I would say, is like 95% there. as far as what you can do with it, and it's a little bit difficult right now because of the technology to get a very perfect clean edge on them without having to do just a little bit of cleanup. And depending on how much you think you need to do, you can either do it with your fingers or use your knife. Just to clean up the little edges that happen. It's normal, it happens. It's just the way these cutters perform. All right, so once you have your shape, and I'm going to do the same treatment to these that I did last week on Polymer Clay TV, where I'm going to make a rope and make a beautiful bezel around them that kind of looks like this. So I'm not going to be super concerned about the edges. This is going to be like a 3-step pendant. So right now I have that, and next I'm going to cut another of these shapes. Let's do this one. Oops. Dropping things. We'll do this one instead since I just dropped that one on the ground. Plastic wrap makes your edges dome really nice. So it's just a good trick for several different types of project. Now, because this one is nice and firmly stuck to the tile, I'm just going to use my rubber-tipped sculpting tool to clean it up. See that? I'll get a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Just around the edge of the shape, there's a tiny bit of clay that sort of got flattened instead of cut. So I'm just using this cup-shaped tool to fix it, press it in, clean it up, and make a nice smooth edge. This one's perfect for this particular shape because of the cup-shaped cutouts on it. So there we go with that one. And now for this one, you're really gonna like the plastic wrap trick because it will help you not get clay stuck in these smaller areas. And for this one, I'll use my straight-edged chisel tip to just clean that up. All right, so I've got these nice shapes that we're now going to make patterns into once we get our cabochons out of the oven. All right, so our cabs are out of the oven. We've got this big one for here. We have the oblong-shaped one for here. And we have this round one for this, and they're awesome. They fit really well, and they're gonna look nice. So you're just gonna set them, push them in. That's why we pre-baked it, so that they can retain their nice shapes and colorings, but push them into the unbaked clay below for you to be able to continue decorating. So what we're gonna do here is have some fun with these. These are our metal stamping tools, and they've got all these fun shapes and things that go with what you got going on here. So for example, this one is sort of a circle, and I know that it fits in here very nicely, so I'm gonna stamp it and just echo the center circle with circles all around. And I think it's going to fit well around here too, so I'm going to put it on the edges of all of these circles. So you can go, you know, a little crazy and just find the little shapes that are going to fit all the little areas that you want to do. So for example, this one is sort of a shape that fits really well up in there. So I'm just going to echo it all the way around. And I'm just going to keep going with all the various little shapes until I've made my designs look interesting. The cool thing is that there are so many different sizes, so you can just keep picking the ones that go well with what you're trying to do. And then there are these other ones that are meant to sort of go around curves, and they just look awesome when that's what you do with them. So I'm going to follow around the curve. And it just makes a texture. See that? And then let's see if this bigger one will fit around here. Go around it so many times, I've got the right tool in my hand to fit around the curve. So this one, I'm going to do the same texture here, here, following these curves, here, and here. And then I can do something in between them, like put a full circle there and there. So just have fun and texture it up. Next, we're going to go in for our second baking. So these will go for another half hour at 275. All right, so once these lovely things are out of the oven, we can pop them off the tile, and you'll see that you have the cabochon and the backing are all in one now because it baked on. And we have this pretty one over here too. And I'm just going to mess around with the colors of the backgrounds by using my gilding polishes and a makeup sponge. So you can just lightly drag that to get a little bit, and then let's see, I'll use this color here. Drag it lightly across the top of the texture that you made. And if you use a sponge like this, you'll be able to get it into the sort of crevices where my finger wouldn't fit up in there. And because you impressed that dark color down with your texturing tools, now you've got this really cool looking metallic with darker colors in the cracks. It's very, very fun. Let's try another color. I've got this cool olive green. And on this dark clay, look at how cool that is. It almost looks like, this green gold color is my favorite color ever. It looks like antique gold to me. With that slight bit of green in it, it's almost like a brass. And I really like brassy colors of metal. So you can use your tips, your thinner tips, to get up inside those thin areas where your finger can't go. And this is just a cheap makeup sponge from the dollar store. So you can finish these off however you like. I'm using the polishes after baking just so that I can use my tool to get into the small areas. And then you can finish them like using last week's tutorial to create that hammered metal look bezel around this. I used an extruded snake and some more texture for both of these. So just different ways to use your tools and polishes and all that fun stuff to make different kinds of jewelry pendants. So I hope you enjoyed this idea with the raised cabochon and texturing all around that cutout piece to create your very own look. Be sure that you come back next time to create along with me on Polymer Clay TV. New show every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe.